The story begins 800 years ago in a vast, arid desert. A mysterious spaceship descends from the sky, landing with such force that it triggers a massive sandstorm. People nearby flee in terror, trying to escape the chaos. Among them is a young girl, who, in her panic, drops a precious necklace. Fast forward to the present day. The same desert, once barren and forgotten, is now the focus of an archaeological dig. The team, led by a curious professor, uncovers the very necklace that the girl lost centuries ago. The professor, intrigued by the necklace's age and craftsmanship, suspects it holds great historical value. As he studies it, a man named John suddenly arrives on the scene, claiming ownership of everything found in the area. The professor firmly responds that these artifacts belong to the Chinese government, not to any individual. Undeterred, the team continues their research. They discover fragments of wood that, when pieced together, form a map of an ancient city known as Loulan. The professor, using this map and the necklace, begins to unravel the city's tragic history. He theorizes that 800 years ago, Loulan was struck by a devastating famine. The necklace was worn by a monk named Yamen, who was a spiritual leader during this desperate time. Yamen, along with a companion named Jin, who was the king of Loulan, tried to escape the storm that had consumed their city. But Jin, gravely injured, succumbed to the harsh conditions, warning Yamen to beware of his treacherous brother who had seized power. In the present, Wu, one of the professor's assistants, stumbles upon an ancient, cracked mirror among the ruins. As he inspects it, strange things begin to happen. The mirror starts to mend itself, and Wu hears a faint voice calling out. Startled, he looks into the mirror and sees Yamen, still alive in his time, praying for Lulan's salvation. To their shock, they realize that the mirror has somehow connected their timelines, allowing them to communicate across the centuries. Through their conversations, Wu learns more about Lulan's downfall and the evil king who betrayed his brother. Yamen, believing Wu to be a divine messenger, shares the secrets of the ancient city. Wu meticulously records all this information, turning it into a detailed manuscript. His work garners significant attention, and he is soon rewarded by the government for his groundbreaking research. However, Wu's success does not go unnoticed. John, realizing that Wu's knowledge came from a supernatural source, becomes determined to possess the mirror for himself. He sends his men to tail Wu, and eventually, they break into his home to steal the artifact. But Wu, sensing the danger, escapes through a back window, clutching the mirror tightly. He tries to warn Yamen through the mirror, but John catches up to him and forcibly takes it. At the same time, in the past, Yamen is captured by the king's soldiers, and the mirror's portal abruptly closes, severing their connection. The tension escalates as John and the king's soldiers from 800 years ago find themselves in the present, having been brought through time by the mirror's power. Confused and enraged, the king, believing he has arrived in heaven, demands answers from John. When John claims to be a god, the king, furious at the deception, seizes a weapon and kills one of John's men. A fierce battle erupts between John's modern mercenaries, armed with guns, and the king's soldiers, who wield ancient weapons. Just as the fight reaches its peak, a massive sandstorm engulfs the battlefield, trapping everyone in its swirling chaos. Wu and his companions, having anticipated the danger, manage to escape. Years later, we see an older, wiser Wu returning to the desert. The site of Lulan's ruins is still being excavated, now by a new team of researchers. As Wu wanders through the site, he finds an ancient stone tablet. Inscribed on it is a poem, the same one he once recited to Yamen during their conversations through the mirror. Realizing that Yamen survived the events of 800 years ago and spent the rest of her life remembering him, Wu is overcome with emotion. He smiles through his tears, grateful for the connection they shared, as the story draws to a poignant close.